Welcome back, my goddesses. So, today I'm going to talk to you guys about a little obstacle that I run across, I think, last week, and give you guys like a little bit of faith. Um, you know, on certain things that may come up in your life, different obstacles, or if you may feel like certain things are being delayed, or your life, or you're not making as much progress in your life as you would like. So basically, I remember I was coming down a street that led to my home, and there were bricks that were needing to be repaired, like in the middle of the road or whatever. So every day I took this route, you know, day and night to get back and forth to my home. And one day I was headed home, the same route that I always go, and I noticed that there was a train at a standstill. So when I come up to the traffic, I noticed there was also a long line of cars waiting. So I'm thinking in my head there must be at least another half a mile of train to go. So I noticed that the other cars started to pull out and turn around and do U-turns to go over and take the next road over or whatever. So I'm like, I'll just wait here. I got time. So as these cars began to pull away, I ended up being the only one that was sitting right there in front of the train, just waiting to go. So I ended up, pulling on up, and I also noticed that right at the end of the train, remember I told you that I'm like, okay, it must be at least another mile of this train waiting to go. So as all the cars start pulling off and I pull up and I end up being the only one sitting there, I noticed that there wasn't nothing but like one caboose left. Like you could literally see on the other side of the train. So all this train had to do was move up at least 10, 15 feet and we was gonna be able to pass. Like that was the end of the train. So let's see. So again, I'm like, I'm just gonna wait. So I ended up waiting about 10 minutes or whatever for the train to pass, and I'm listening to Maya Angelou's speech or whatever. So I listen to a lot of motivational speeches. So I'm sitting here listening to Maya Angelou um, speech on YouTube, and then I look up and see the train begin to move. So the gates open, and I proceed to my route or whatever. So as I approached the road with the bricks that I was telling y'all about that was needing to be repaired, that had risen or whatever, I noticed that it looked like the road was like blocked off. And I'm like, okay, man, here goes something else that's just stopping me from being on my route or whatever. So I thought I was gonna have to like do a U-turn right there and just turn all the way around, go back to the light, and wait all over again. But there was this truck in front of me, and I saw that he had kept going. So I'm wondering, like, I'm wondering, like, why is he still going if he see that the road is blocked off? So I looked to my right and saw a sign that said slow, which indicates like you may pass, but with caution. So I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm wondering, how am I gonna pass through, or how am I gonna go around these cones and these obstacles when it's blocked where the oncoming traffic has to come? So I continue to drive, and I noticed they had left one of the lanes open. That way we could go through where the oncoming traffic was. So once I got around the blockage, moral of the story is patience and trust is the key. Like I had patience enough and enough faith that I knew in due time that train would allow me to pass. I knew I would not be here there forever, so I patiently waited. I panicked when I noticed that the blockage in the road until I continued on my way and realized that the obstacles was not even an obstacle. It was just a setup that revealed itself as an obstacle. It was a test to see how I would go about it or how I would react. And if I would like get upset or if I would get frustrated or if I was gonna make an unnecessary U-turn and go all the way around when in reality I didn't even have to. So I walked myself through the the entire situation, and I thought about it like, conquer your obstacles with faith and courage, and not to fear the unknown, because it may not be as unknown as you really think, to be honest. And it may not even come to be what you think it is. Like, it was at first glance. I'm waiting for my blessing. Like, I'm patient for my blessing. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. No obstacle shall stand in my way. I shall overcome all that is presented to me. So, it is what it is. It's just simple things like that that helps me give you guys an example of what it means to be patient and have faith. And sometimes you just have to sit down and pay attention to what's being presented to you and the way it's being presented to you. So take your time in life. You don't have to like be in a rush, because if it's meant for you, it's meant for you. It's not going nowhere, and can't nobody take it away from you. So and I was just thinking, like, I should overcome all that is presented to me. Patience is the key, and courage and faith is also part of it. So basically, guys, I was coming home after dropping the kids off at daycare, and I turned on the street that I normally turn on, getting ready to go home, and there was a train coming, but the train had stopped right in this track, and it was already like a long line of traffic. So I'm looking like, okay, I'll just wait. Trains, sometimes they always stop. So we waiting and we waiting. I had already been waiting for at least, 3 to 5 minutes. So cars started pulling out, turning around, hitting U-turns, going the other way. And I'm like, okay, fine, cool. I'm like, I don't know why y'all going that way, because, it might be at least another half a mile left of this train to go. So if y'all trying to go down this way, that part blocked too. So as the cars started turning around and leaving, I pull up, and y'all, I end up being like the one and only car that was still sitting there waiting on the train, looking crazy. So I'm like, I pull up and I'm like, it ain't nothing but one caboose left. Nothing but one caboose left at the end of that train. Literally, you could see the other side of the road. That's how close it was to getting ready to pass through. So I waited. I'm like, well, if I waited this long, I might as well wait. I'm not in no type of rush. I'm sitting there watching my video by Maya Angelou. Just looking at a few little inspirational videos. So I'm like, I got nothing but time. The kids at daycare. I'm just gonna go home and clean up. Right, I got time. So I'm just chilling. And then I look back up and I see the train was beginning to move. So I'm like, okay, cool. So the train moves out the way, the gates open, and I pass through. So I get to the light, and I'm getting ready to turn. So as I turn, and I'm on the road where I was telling y'all about the bricks that was lifting up out the road, I see that they had blocked the road off because they was fixing on it. So I'm like, man. I'm like, all right, I ain't had no problem with waiting on this train, but I gotta turn all the way back around, go all the way back this way, because traffic already heavy, because it ended up, as I was waiting and I was the only one waiting, cars that was turning off of the highway ended up lining up behind me. So I'm like, I gotta hit a whole U-turn and sit through all this traffic again. So it was a truck in front of me, and the truck was driving. I'm like, why is this truck still driving? He can't even get through. Like, people just be feeling like they just so entitled. Why you? So I'm like, okay. So I look to my right, and I'm like, oh, the sign says slow. Usually whenever a sign indicates slow, it means you may proceed, but with caution. But if the sign says stop or no entry or something like that, then you cannot go. So I'm like, okay, so it says slow. That means we can go, but how am I going to get through? Because at that time, I only saw one lane that was open, and that was for the oncoming traffic. So I kept going, and I'm like, well, maybe one of the workers will guide me through. So I'm going, and I'm like, as I go up even more, I'm like, oh, the lane lane wasn't blocked off. It was open the whole time. So I'm going. I'm like, all right, so that's cool. So the whole time, basically, just trust. Pay attention to the signs. You know, pay attention to the signs. If you pay attention to the signs, just go. No questions asked. Don't be afraid of the unknown, because it may not even be as unknown as you think. You know what I'm saying? So don't fear the unknown, because you clearly have signs telling you that it's okay for you to go. It's okay for you to do. It's for you to proceed on your route. It's okay for you to continue on with what you're doing. Just proceed with caution. If it's telling you that it's okay for you to go, but the sign says proceed with caution, then go. They want you to proceed with caution so you can pay attention to what's going on. So you can pay attention to the situation that you were in. So you can pay attention to which way you're supposed to go, so that you don't bump heads with the oncoming traffic, so that you don't cause a chaos. So if you do that and you remember that, you'll be okay. Pay attention to the signs, whether it's a road sign, a physical sign, a sign about a person, like y'all call them red flags. Pay attention to the signs and proceed with caution, and you'll be good.